Welcome back to a brand new PTCG live video. Today I'll be going over the newly revealed cards from the new upcoming set Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia, which will be scheduled to release late September of 2025. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of these newly revealed cards. So starting out with the Venusaur line, we do have a new Bulbasaur. It's kind of unfortunate that it does have 80 HP, so that's just 10 HP too much for it to be searched out with the Buddy Buddy Poffin. But the attack is decent, where you have the bind down for the 10 base damage, and then during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. Then we do have an Ivysaur here, very vanilla. You just have the 2 grass energies to do Razor Leaf for the 60 base damage. We also do get a Mega Venusaur EX here with a really good HP with the 380 HP, which is probably a new ceiling for the max HP now. And we have that Solar Transfer ability as often as you like during your turn. You can use this ability to move a grass energy from one of your Pokemon to another. And then we do have that Jungle Dump for the 240 base damage and then heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. So I feel like the damage is pretty solid. I feel like maybe it could have been a little more. And the secondary effect is a little bit of a letdown. I feel like healing 30 damage is just not really going to cut it in the current rotation, because I'm pretty sure if somebody wants to knock out Venusaur, they're definitely going for that weakness and try to get a one-hit KO on this Venusaur. So I don't know how many times you'll be able to even actually heal 30 damage and for it to be relevant to the game. And the damage, the 240 base damage, pretty solid. You get to knock out Raging Bolt in a single hit, assuming it doesn't have something like Bravery Charm or Ancient Capsule attached to it. Then we do get a new Nincada here. It does have 50 HP, which is a little bit of a letdown. It would have been better if it had 70. And we do have the Ninjask with the ability Cast Off Shell. When we play this card to evolve it up, evolve up our Pokemon from the Nincada to Ninjask, you can search out your deck for a Shedinja and put it onto your bench. So this basically has Disruption written all over it, because the Shedinja is very disruptive. It does have an ability on it where if a Pokemon EX knocks it out, your opponent takes no prize cards for the knockout. And then the attack does complement the Shedinja, where you have this U-turn attack. You can do 90 base damage and then switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So ideally, you'd probably just switch it into a Shedinja. And I'm pretty sure this will be combined with a lot more disruption, such as Mimikyu and disruptive trainer cards, to really slow down your opponent. We do get a new Vulpix here. It does have 70 HP, which is pretty good. It can be just searched out with the Buddy Buddy Poffin, but the Ninetales, not as great, honestly. With the first attack being the best attack, which is a Supernatural Transformation, you discard the top card of your deck, and if it is a supporter card, we can use the effect of this card as the effect of this attack. So the odds of it being a supporter card are kind of low in my opinion. So this is probably not going to get any play at all in my opinion. And then we do have the Combustion for the 1 fire, 1 colorless, 60 damage, so not too great either. And then we do get a new Cinderace here. We have the Score Bunny of a solid 70 HP and a decent attack with the Wild Kick, 30 damage, and then if Tails, it does nothing. We got the Reboot as well as the Cinderace. The Cinderace does have a pretty interesting ability. It is basically the exact same ability name as the Luxray from the Sword and Shield era. I forgot exactly which set it was, but it has the same ability name, Explosiveness. And if this Pokemon is in your hand when you're setting up in the beginning of the game, you can put it face down as your active Pokemon, which is really good. That means you don't have to evolve it up or anything, even though it is a stage 2. You can just put it right into the active spot if you are setting up in the beginning of the game. And then the attack is also very universal. It does feel like it has a lot of utility. For the Flare Turbo, you can search out your deck for 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. And the fact that you can use this for a colorless energy means you're not tied to fire-type Pokemon, or you have to play this in a fire-type deck. You can basically use this probably in any deck for some universal energy acceleration, because it allows you to search out any 3 basic energy cards. And then we do get a Inteleon line here. We get the Sobble, really good that it has 70 HP. Can easily search it out with the Buddy Buddy Poffin. And then we have a Drizzle of 100 HP, which is pretty much standard, I guess, for a stage 1. And then we do have the Inteleon here, which will be a single prizer Inteleon. And the best attack really is the Bring Down, where you choose a Pokemon in play that has the least amount of HP remaining, except for this Pokemon, and it is an automatic knockout. So I'm not sure if you would play this with Frostlass or how you would play this in terms of like the rest of the deck. Because it is a little tricky how it's worded, where it has the least amount of HP remaining. So I'm not sure if it has to have already damage counters on it to be qualified for a knockout with this attack. We'll just have to see how the translations come out when it is released in English. And then the Water Shot, 110 base damage, and discard an energy card from this Pokemon. And then we do get a Pachirisu here. I feel like if almost like every era has Pachirisu in it, but it will be from Mega Symphonia. And it has 70 base HP, which is really good because you can search it out with the Buddy Buddy Poffin. And then we do have the attack Electrified Incisors, 10 base damage, and then during your opponent's next turn, whenever they attach an energy card from their hand to the defending Pokemon, place 8 damage counters on it. So a decent attack. I feel like you do clean the effect if you retreat out, so kind of easily countered in my opinion. So I don't know. I don't see this getting too much play. And then we do get a new Alakazam, which will be a single prizer. We got a new Abra, which it could see some play as a teleportation attack. Switch it out with one of your bench Pokemon, which is pretty decent. And then we do have a Kadabra, which I like the ability on it, where when we evolved up this Pokemon from our hand, we can draw 2 cards for this. So pretty decent in my opinion. It could definitely help out the Alakazam EX from 151 to help it out with some draw support. And a similar ability on Alakazam as well with Psychic Draw. When we play this card to evolve it up, we can draw 3 cards. So if you evolve up your Kadabra and Alakazam, you draw 5 cards in between just 2 turns. Not too bad. And then we have the hand power. Put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon for each card in your hand. And a decent attack also, because you'll be probably building up a lot of cards in your hand, and you can do some decent damage for this 1 Psychic Energy. And then we do get a Gardevoir line here. We get a new Ralts here, which has 70 HP, which is really good. Search out Buddy Poffin, but the attacks are really kind of not there in my opinion. You got the collect, draw a card, and then headbutt for the 10 base damage. The Curlia, let's see this. Call Sign, search out your deck for up to 3 Pokemon and put them into your hand. So the Call Sign isn't too bad. I feel like that would be kind of helpful actually if your Gardevoir deck is kind of bricking and not really setting up properly. This can be definitely a decent attack to use because you can use this to search out like the Gardevoir EX, a Drifloon or Screamtail if you need one, as well as a Monkey Dory, so it can definitely help you really set up. The only drawback is obviously since this is a attack, your opponent can easily use Judge or Iono and have it shuffled to the bottom of your deck or into your deck. And then we do have the Mega Gardevoir EX here. This will be a 3 prizer just like the Mega Venusaur, and it has 360 HP, which is really high. I'm surprised they didn't give Venusaur more, and Gardevoir has that much HP already, 360. Then we have the Overflowing Wishes. For each one of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a Psychic Energy and attach it to that Pokemon. So for each of your bench Pokemon, I don't know about the attack, honestly. It probably has to complement maybe the second attack. We got Mega Symphonia, 50x multiplier, and does 50 damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So okay, there we go. That's probably how it complements the other attack. And this definitely looks like it'll be combined with the Gardevoir EX from Sword and Shield base set, because it basically gets a ton of Psychic Energies, as many as it wants from the discard pile, assuming they're in the discard pile. So I feel like this will be a pretty powerful card. And the only drawback, I guess, it is weak to Dark type, which is kind of bad. It is probably going to be an easy 1-hit KO for the Terrestrial Charizard from Obsidian Flames. And there's the Shedinja that I mentioned previous with the Ninjask. It has that Fragile Shell ability. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's EX, your opponent can't take any prize cards for this knockout. So, pretty disruptive ability. It will definitely slow down your opponent. A really good control style Pokemon in my opinion. I don't know how well it's going to do, because I feel like control decks can definitely be hit or miss, or yeah, and they also, though, sometimes they don't do really too well competitively. Like, the Snorlax block deck was definitely probably the strongest control deck that I've seen in quite a while. Like, it actually won a pretty big tournament, so... And then we do have the damage beat for the 20x multiplier. It does 20 damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So that's definitely a good attack. It's 20x multiplier. If you did the 90 damage with the Ninjas, you can do 180 for the one Psychic with this Ninja. So doing 180 for one Psychic energy is not too bad. Let's see, we got Makuhita. 80 HP, so it's definitely going to be tough to search out with the Buddy Buddy Poffin. Won't be able to. We got Hariyama, Heave Ho Catcher. Once during your turn for the ability, you can, when you play this card from your hand to evolve it up, you're going to use this ability to switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. So it's basically the same as the Hops Double, a gusting option for evolving it up. I'm not sure how well this will do. I feel like the Hops Double does not really get much play already, so I don't know, this will be kind of like a maybe in terms of how much it'll get used. And the 3 retreat cost is not doing it many favors, because if it gets gusted, it might be stuck in the active. And moving on to Riolu from Mega Brave here. It has 80 HP, so a little tough to search out with the Buddy Poffin. You won't be able to. And we have that accelerating stab for the one fighting, 30 base damage, and then during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use accelerating stab. So a decent attack, I think. Really good for knocking out, I guess, the Budu that has the item lock. And then we do have Mega Lucario EX here with the Aura Jab. Pretty cool art. It does look very, very, very reminiscent of the Mega Lucario from Furious Fists from XY era. We have the Aura Jab, 130 base damage, and then we get to attach up to 3 fighting energy cards from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon in any way you like. No, to any of your bench Pokemon, okay. So a decent energy acceleration for the one fighting energy. You can quickly attack and set up a backup attacker. And then for the Mega Brave, 270 base damage, and then during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Mega Brave. But then you'll just have to use Aura Jab instead. And this does have the lowest HP of the Mega Evolutions so far revealed. The Venusaur had 380, Gardevoir had 360, and the Lucario is only 340. And this is even lower. We got the Mega Absol here with 280 HP and Mawile at 270. Okay. So for the Absol, pretty good art, I'd say. I really feel like it will probably get maybe a secret art rare in the set. I'm not sure. But let's see. We got the Doom period for the 1 Dark, 1 Colorless. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 6 damage counters on it, it is knocked out. So it's kind of similar to, I guess, the Glaceon from Prismatic. But the Glaceon needed, I think, 3 energies. The attack was harder to pull off. And then we got Cruel Claw for the 200 base damage, and then your opponent reveals their hand, and then you discard a card you find there. So I feel like this could get some play. It's definitely 2 decently good attacks. I just don't know how much to play, and the HP is kind of a little lackluster. At least the weakness is kind of rare, grass type weakness. There's not too many Pokemon that are grass right now that are super competitive. But yeah, I definitely see that this can get some play. Especially the first attack with the 6 damage counters on it exactly. It only costs 1 Dark and 1 Colorless. Or you can even potentially use it just for a single Dark energy. If you have something like the counter gain, I believe, where you can drop off a colorless energy in the attack if you're behind in prize cards. And it is also a basic Pokemon, which is interesting. You don't need to evolve Mega Absol from a regular Absol to get into play. It is just a solid basic Pokemon. Okay, so that explains why the HP is significantly lower. Same deal with the Mega Mawile EX, only 270, but keep in mind it is a basic Pokemon. It's not even stage 1. You can just play this right from your hand. And we got the first attack from the Mega Mawile, Greedily Devour. This attack does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken. So 80x multiplier. I feel like it's pretty powerful, but it's definitely a late game attacker or mid game. It's not definitely something you would start out with. And then we got the Big Bite for the 2 metal, 1 colorless, 260 base damage. And if your opponent's active Pokemon already has damage counters on it, you get to do 30... Oh, the attack does 30 damage instead. If your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it. So you'd have to hit something that's fresh with no damage counters on it to do the 260. Okay. So that's a pretty hit or miss attack. I don't know. I'm not sure how much play this will get. Especially it does have the fire type weakness. I don't know, maybe for the late game, it can definitely be good for the first attack. And now we got the Mega Latias EX. Same deal, it's a basic Pokemon. You don't have to evolve it up from a regular Latias. And we got the Strife for the 40 base damage. You can switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. And then we got the Illusionary Impulse, 300 damage, and then discard all energy from this Pokemon. So I don't know how I feel about the second attack. I feel like it's definitely a finisher Pokemon. It's definitely a very expensive and costly attack. And it's not like you can use Neo Upper Energy on it because it is a basic Pokemon. So yeah, I don't know. This is probably going to be a miss, honestly. And then we got the regular, the Latios here. Yeah, that's actually Latias. And then we got Latios, which is going to be a single prizer. We got the Lustrous Assist. Once during your turn, when your Mega Latias moves from the bench to active, you can move any amount of energy cards from your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. Okay, so that's basically going to help out with the energy acceleration for the Mega Latias. And then we got the Dragon Claw. No secondary effect, 130 base damage. Okay, moving on to the trainer cards. Quite a few trainer cards also. We got the Acerola Mischief here. You can only use this card if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. And then you choose one of your opponent's Pokemon in play. And then we get to prevent all damage and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EXs. So it's kind of like buying a turn in my opinion. You can probably use this on like something like a Dragapult. Well, no, not on Dragapult, but on something you want to basically not get knocked out. So you choose one of your Pokemon in play, and then during your opponent's next turn, we get to prevent all damage and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. So yeah, it almost feels like a counter to boss's orders in my opinion. You get to choose basically any Pokemon in play and protect it for a whole turn. Which is not too bad. I'd say that's a pretty decent supporter card. I feel like the only drawback really is the criteria where you can only use this if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. So that's the only drawback really. If it didn't have that drawback, this card would be pretty broken in my opinion. But yeah, it will definitely be a situational card. Like, I don't know, I see maybe 1 copy of this being ran in the deck at most. And next up, we got the Lily's Determination. Shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 6 cards. And if you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, you get to draw 8 cards instead. So I guess a decent supporter card in the beginning of the game. It can definitely maybe replace some Ionos, maybe, but most likely not. I feel like Iono's pretty powerful. I don't think nobody would swap Iono for this. But yeah, I definitely see this can definitely get play maybe. And then we have the Mega Signal, which will be an item card from Mega Symphonia. We get to search out your deck for a Mega Evolution Pokemon EX and then put it into our hand. So really good, I guess. You can it's almost like the Terra Orb, just for Mega Evolutions, basically. Then we have a new Stadium card, Mysterious Garden. It looks like this has Gardevoir written all over it, because once during each player's turn, they can discard an energy card from their hand in order to draw cards until they have as many cards in their hand as Psychic Pokemon in play. I'd say that's pretty good, honestly, for a Gardevoir EX deck, or just about any Psychic type deck, in my opinion. Because there's so many ways to get energy cards back from the discard, so it shouldn't really be a big problem. Especially Gardevoir EX gets them out for free with its ability. And then we're down to the last two cards here. We got the Premium Power Pro. During this turn, attacks used by your fighting type Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So I'd say actually this is a pretty decent trainer card, because it is a item card. It's not a supporter card. So definitely a really good item card in my opinion. Definitely can probably be used to complement maybe the Cynthia's Garchomp EX, or maybe another fighting type Pokemon like the Mamoswine EX from Surging Sparks, I believe. And then lastly, we do have the Wally's Compassion here, where we can heal all damage from one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon EXs. And then if we healed any damage in this way, we discard all energy cards. Oh no, wait, we don't discard them, we put them all into our hand. So all the energy cards go into your hand after you heal up all damage from one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon EXs. So yeah, there we have it. Those are all of the newly revealed cards for the new upcoming sets, Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia. So if you like this video, please drop a like, a sub. It definitely helps out the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.